Hello, boys and girls. Today, our reading lesson is going to focus on finding the main idea and details in a story or in a nonfiction book. I hope you enjoyed the Brain Pop Junior video that you watched yesterday about main idea details, and you learned a little bit about this skill. Today, we're going to be reading the book called Planets. It's a National Geographic Kids book, and I think you're going to really like it. And we're going to decide what the main idea of the book is and what some of the supporting details are. So as we read, I'll be filling in this graphic organizer, and that should help us with discovering what the main idea and details are of this nonfiction reading passage, okay? It's called Planets by Elizabeth Carney. It says, meet the planets. If you look up at the night sky, you can see some planets. From Earth, we can see the planets Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn without using a telescope. They look like bright dots of light. What is a planet? Most of the lights in the night sky are stars. Planets look a bit like stars, but they don't twinkle. Planets are round objects that orbit a star. Most stars have planets moving around them. Planets don't create their own light. They only reflect the light from stars. And this says space clues, orbit, the path an object follows around another object, such as a star. Reflect, to bounce back. So it's giving you some vocabulary words there. The sun. The sun is our star. Our planet Earth orbits the sun. The sun makes a lot of heat and light. Its surface is about 100 times hotter than a hot summer day. It's also very big. 1 million Earths could fit inside the sun. This says, don't look directly at the sun. It could hurt your eyes. The sun, and look at this little dot, Earth. Our solar system. Our sun and Earth are part of what we call our solar system. There are 8 big planets and 5 small dwarf planets in the solar system. Each planet orbits the sun. The strong pull of the sun's gravity holds the planets in orbit, which keeps them from floating away. Gravity is the same force that makes a ball fall to the ground when you drop it. The sun and the 8 big planets in our solar system. Do you remember this? We've learned this in science. Here's sun, and then we have Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune. Do you remember our cute little poem that helped us remember the order of the planets? My very excited mother just served us noodles. Do you remember that? Space clues, gravity, an invisible force that pulls objects towards a planet or a star. The inner planets. Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars are in the hotter part of our solar system. Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars. These planets are the 4 closest to the sun. They are made of rock and metal. We've been learning about Earth and how the crust is made of different rocks and minerals, right? Okay, so let's stop there where we haven't finished reading the book, but are you starting to decide what the main idea is of this book? If you said it's all about the planets, I agree. In fact, that's the name of the book. So we're going to fill that in. We could even say planets in our solar system. What were some of the details that we've already learned about planets in our solar system? We learned what a planet is, right? That a planet looks like stars, but they don't twinkle. Planets are round objects that orbit a star. So what could we put as one of our details that we've learned so far? How about round objects that orbit a star? We also learned that our star is the sun. We also learned how many planets are in our solar system. Do you remember how many? There are 8 big planets and 5 small or dwarf planets. Okay, let's keep reading. Your planet Earth. Earth is the 3rd planet from the sun. Our planet spins at just the right distance from the sun. It's far enough away to be not too hot, yet close enough so it's not too cold. Here, the conditions are just right for life. Plants and trees, sea animals, and land animals. The gas giants. It says the gas giants do not have a hard surface like the rocky inner planets. Beyond the rocky inner planets, there are 4 gas giants. They are Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. These huge planets are made of big clouds of gas and liquid. Gravity pulls the gas and liquid into a round shape. All gas giants have rings. The rings are mostly made of ice and dust. So it says Saturn, rings, Jupiter, Uranus, Neptune, Saturn. Dwarf planets. Dwarf planets are planet-like objects. They are part of our solar system. They are much smaller than the other planets. Dwarf planets can be round or egg-shaped. They sometimes share their orbits with other space objects such as asteroids. This dwarf planet is shaped like an egg. So let's look at all of these dwarf planets. We've got Pluto. I've heard of Pluto before. Okay, this is Eris, Ceres, and Makemake. And this one is Haumea. Those are some that I haven't even heard of before, but I have heard of Pluto. Have you? Amazing planets. These planets are really out of this world. So here's some interesting facts about the different planets. This one says the weirdest spin, Uranus. This planet spins on its side, rolling like a barrel instead of a top. Windiest weather, Neptune. Winds on Neptune blow much faster than Earth's strongest hurricanes. Whoa, those are some strong winds. Longest lasting storm, Jupiter, the Great Red Spot. The Great Red Spot is a hurricane on Jupiter. It has been blowing for more than 400 years. Wow. Hottest planet, Venus. This is the solar system's hottest planet, even though it is not the closest to the sun. That's interesting. A thick layer of gas around Venus makes it super hot. Tallest mountain, Mars. Mars is the home of the solar system's largest volcano called Olympus Mons. It's as tall as 3 Mount Everest stacked up. Whoa, here's Mount Everest on Earth, and look at Olympus Mons on Mars. Woo, way taller. Okay, moons galore. Some planets like Earth have moons that travel with them. Moons are objects made of ice or rock that orbit a planet. Some planets have no moons. Some have many. Jupiter has more than 60. Look, Jupiter and 4 of its moons. That's what that picture is. Saturn has a giant moon called Titan. It is one of the largest moons in the solar system. It is even bigger than the planet Mercury. Earth's moon, Mercury, Titan. Our moon. We've been learning about this as well. Earth has only one moon. It appears large and bright in the night sky. Astronauts first walked on the moon in 1969. They left footprints in the dust. There is no weather on the moon to wash or blow them away. The footprints are still there. Astronaut Buzz Aldrin walks on the moon in 1969 as part of the Apollo 11 mission. Exploring space. Scientists have many ways of studying planets. One is to visit them. Humans can't visit other planets yet, but we can send robots to explore them for us. A rocket blasts off from Cape Canaveral, Florida. It is heading to Mars. Robots called rovers have been sent to Mars. The rovers carry cameras and tools. They can take photographs and videos too. The rovers send information back to Earth about what they see. A drawing of a rover on Mars. There are other ways to learn about planets too. Powerful telescopes allow us to see planets and moons even though they are far away. This says telescope. A drawing of a space probe that flew near Jupiter. Space probes also collect information about planets. These spacecraft take pictures. They measure light and temperature too. With these tools, scientists make exciting discoveries about the planets. What will we learn next? Okay, so let's stop there and talk about some more details that we learned about planets, okay? So the last one is, we said 8 big planets, 5 small dwarf planets. We learned about the inner planets and our planet Earth and the dwarf planets and the gas giants. So we could say that planets are grouped into different categories. Okay. Then we learned some interesting facts about our amazing planets. So we could say our planets are amazing. Then we learned about the different moons for each planet. So we would have to add another piece to our graphic organizer over here. Maybe planets have moons. Some have none, some have one like us, and some have more than one. Okay, then we learned about our moon. And then finally, we learned about exploring space and how scientists discover new facts and new information about the planets by sending a rover and taking photographs and videos, okay? So they show the telescope and the probe. So we learned how scientists study our planets too. So I'm going to add that over here. Okay, so the main idea of our book was the title of the book, in this case, Planets, or Planets in Our Solar System, right? But then we learned all of these supporting details that told us all about the planets in our solar system. We learned that scientists study the planets, that they're round objects that orbit a star, that there's 8 big planets and 5 small dwarf planets, that the sun is our star in our solar system, that there are different categories of planets. We learned about the dwarf planets and the gas giants and the inner planets. We also learned that our planets are amazing. We learned some really cool facts about the planets. And then we learned about planets and that how they can have moons. And we studied a little bit about our moon. So this is an example of discovering what the main idea and details are in a nonfiction book. You can also discover what the main idea and details are of a story or a fiction book. Okay, so you're going to be practicing that this week in your reading. When you go in and log into Reading A to Z, you'll find some assignments there and you'll find some activities where you're practicing discovering the main idea and details in a story. I know you'll do a great job like you have on every other activity and lesson. I'll see you soon, boys and girls.